gallery view. Don't want to see my big face.
Yeah.
Okay, your big face is okay.
Yeah, just a big welcome. It's so lovely to have so many people here, and especially lovely to have some special guests who I'm going to introduce and just sort of name some of them later.
I'm going to hand over first for a little practical thing from Anthony. So Anthony's going to just give us some announcements at the start of the evening and just to let us know what's happening at the centre and what's coming up. So over to you, Anthony.
Thank you very much, Gisela Davey. Isn't it lovely to hear all this joy of kind of meeting up again? It's really nice. I love it. So what is happening over the next few weeks? The first thing that is happening is the drop-in meditations on Friday lunchtimes. If you fancy kind of joining in into those, they're from 1 to 1:45. Next week, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, we've got yoga with Kshantika, body yoga with Kshantika. Each one of those days is slightly named differently. If you want to go and find out a bit more of those, you can go onto the website to the calendar and find out when those are. But they're generally about between 5 and 7 in the evening there. Wednesday, next Sangha night, it's the full moon of May. It's Buddha Day. It's the actual day. And we're going to be doing a puja. So we're going to be celebrating Buddha Day altogether. Celebrations is kind of like, it seems to be like the theme over the past the week, really, because at the weekend then we have got the Buddha Day retreats, the Buddha, calm, steady and pure. And I'm loving that. I'm really excited about that because I become a mitra at the mitra ceremony on Saturday night. And I want you all to come along because I want to share it with you and to share the joy and to share the pleasure of it. So please do come along to that. The mitra ceremony, you can join that separately if you've got other things to do other than the retreats. And I think there's a link in that, both in what's this week, this week's what's happening this week, and it will be in next week's what's happening this week, which will be next week. And the other thing is the rupas. Like if you've got your Buddha and you want to tell us a little bit about it, tell us the story of how you got it. You know, some of the kind of the quirks that it has. I wasn't going to do it. So I was thinking, I'm not going to do that. But actually, I thought, do you know what? There is a Buddha figure in the house that is really has a story, and I want to tell the story. So I will be doing a 30-second quick story on that. And the last thing to say is that sometime in June, it's something to look forward to. There's going to be a Brahma Viharas retreat. So look out for that. The details will be coming up in the next week.
Weekend of the 12th, I think.
12th to the 13th, yes. Good. That's me done. Thank you, Gisela Davey.
Wonderful. Thanks, Anthony. Good. So here we are to celebrate 25 years of the Nottingham Buddhist Centre being open. So the actual anniversary was the 14th of May, which was last Friday. That was the date. And we're here this evening to just rejoice and celebrate in that. So I was very aware. I started working at the centre last October and became chair here. And I was really aware that I'm only here because of so many people that came before me, in a way as sort of lineage of practitioners. So both in that sense that Aryavachan introduced it very beautifully in the meditation, and both in the sense of all those people who have put so much in the Nottingham Sangha, the Nottingham Buddhist Centre, and then going back throughout the lineage all the way back to the Buddha. But there are so many people who have supported our Sangha here in Nottingham, and personally who have been very good friends to me and supported me with my Dharma practice along the way. And I think you can all relate to that. We just receive so much support and friendship here in the Sangha. So you might have seen the chair's update that I sent out, a letter that I sent this week. And in a way, I was just reflecting on gratitude. I've been on a solitary retreat and I was very much in contact with gratitude and just feeling gratitude to a lot of people. And that's when I sort of also brought to mind this evening, and the fact that so many people, such a web of people have been involved in making, you know, bringing the conditions together for us to be here right now. And it's mysterious, isn't it? Because here we are on Zoom in our own bedrooms, in our own homes, and people all over the country in different places, Brighton, Bolton, various other, Norfolk, Jill, and various other places. So yeah, it's mysterious, yet something of the spirit of the Nottingham Buddhist Centre is here with us. And there's something mysterious about the centre. That spirit that can be communicated when we're all together, because really the centre is about people. It's about the Sangha, it's about the people that make it. But I really hope that we'll be able to invite you back soon to the physical Buddhist Centre in the Lace Market. And we do have plans for that, so do look out for messages. So unfortunately, we realised quite late actually that it was the 25th anniversary. So as I say, I only started last year and not quite got my head around all of those things yet. So a big thanks to Jill, who emailed and just reminded us that it was the date around this time of year. So there are some people who might have attended tonight as special guests, but unfortunately haven't been able to make it. Vimla Prabha's backpacking. Sangha K2's here, which is great. So he was here at the very start of things. Ratnagosha, unfortunately, our president, couldn't make it this evening because he is busy. And there are a few others who would have liked to have been here but couldn't. But somebody who we really, really hope to be here, and a very special guest, is Abaya Kirti. So I wonder if you could just pin Abaya Kirti, please, Zach. So Abaya Kirti was the very first chair in Nottingham. So on the 14th of May, 1996, the Buddhist Centre opened to the public, the Nottingham Buddhist Centre. And it was Abaya Kirti and his team around him at that time who started the centre. So I'm really looking forward to hearing more from him later. But I'm personally very grateful to Abaya Kirti. I know that there'll have been many, many challenges involved in that process of setting up things at the centre. And Abaya Kirti really, from what I hear, he really pioneered in Nottingham. So he took the initiative to move here. He opened an evolution shop. He started a residential community so that people could live together, work together, benefit from being alongside one another in the Sangha. And I know that he gave a lot of time, energy and care to the centre. And yes, Abaya Kirti was the very first chair of the Nottingham Buddhist Centre. And yeah, he brought the centre and the Sangha to life. And Abaya Kirti wasn't just involved in the evolution shops in our centre. He's been very involved with evolution shops and the team-based right livelihood of Wind Horse Evolution, which was one of Triratna's most successful team-based right livelihoods. And Abaya Kirti's been very involved in that over the years in various places. And it was the success of that shop in Nottingham that meant that the centre could be purchased. So we wouldn't be here if Abaya Kirti hadn't taken that initiative and given so much time, energy and love. So yes, I think I saw on Facebook this week that Abaya Kirti's worked in the evolution shops around the country, in various shops, for 35 years. And just last week, the final evolution shop closed. So he's been very involved in creating context for many, many people who are Buddhists in Triratna to get involved and work together and just benefit from that, working alongside one another. So that's such a wonderful sort of offering of generosity, which goes so far beyond what we can even imagine, the sort of ripples of that, I think. Yeah. So thank you very much, Abaya Kirti. I'm very, very grateful to you. And I'm very glad you could come here to celebrate this evening with us. And I'm going to hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. And thank you very much for your kind words. And looking round, I can see a few people who were here at the very beginning. So one of the things that's comes to my mind immediately, as you say, Abhay Kirti did this, Abhay Kirti did that. Well, one of the things I've learned is you never do anything on your own. It doesn't happen like that. And I might have been the chairman and in some ways the team leader, but it was a team of us who got it going. And originally, so I'll tell you, some of you may not know the history. I'll tell you a very quick potted history of how it all got going. But a team of us turned up in Nottingham, which was myself, Imna Prabha, Sangha Ketu, and somebody called Amoga Shura, who subsequently resigned from the order a number of years ago. So yeah, I'll give you a potted history. You gave me 10 minutes. I think I can do it in 10 minutes. So I was at Windhorse. I joined Windhorse in 1986, actually, as a Mitra, and got ordained in 1990. And I got a little bit restless. I think I wanted to do something else. But one of my jobs when I was there was shop. We had lots of shops, and we often used to open new shops at Christmas with teams from various Buddhist centers. And that was one of my jobs, was setting up those projects. And I was doing the Christmas shop fit for the Birmingham team. And the then chairman, Vera Chitta, said to me quite casually, Abhay Kirti, we were working together, as you do, you're chatting away, you know what it's like. And he said, Abhay Kirti, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? I said, Vera Chitta, I don't know. I can't make my mind up. He said, Abhay Kirti, come to Birmingham and take over the Nottingham group. It's been running for years and we're really struggling to get it off the ground. I said, I'll think about it. I went off and supported the 93 Gukyaloka men's ordination retreat at Gukyaloka. And whilst I was out there, I decided I was going to leave Windhorse. And I loved the idea of coming to Nottingham. So I started asking people if they would come with me. And one of the first people to say yes, well, I don't know where he's on your screen, but he's sitting on the middle of my screen and it's Sangha Ketu. So he needs a round of applause. And then Amoga Shura decided to come. Some of you will remember him. And then I asked Vinod Prabha. Vinod Prabha said he couldn't come. He was busy in Liverpool, he couldn't come. But somewhere along the road, without going into the details, he changed his mind and we had a team. So we arrived in Nottingham in 94 and we opened the shop in the autumn of 94 and we started a men's community in St. Anne's. We were told not to go to St. Anne's, but actually St. Anne's was fine. We had a nice community up there and the neighbors were very friendly. We never saw any trouble. So we opened the shop and then we were doing classes in various places and none of the venues we had quite worked for us. I'm missing lots out here, by the way. There's lots of other things that have happened, but anyway, I've got to go at breakneck speed, as it were. None of the venues were working. And then I said to Vinod Prabha, we got to get a center. Let's rent a place. And we looked around town. We wanted somewhere that was central and a decent size. And we found the current building and they said it was for rent or for sale. So we tried to rent it and we got into really complicated negotiations with the owner. It went on and on and on. And so I rang Vajraketu, my friend, who was then the managing director of Windhorse, and said, what should we do? He said, buy the building, just buy it. I thought, okay. So we bought it. And so we got the keys. I was on the chairman's event, so it would have been in January 96. We have a photograph somewhere, I don't know if you still have it, of Vinod Prabha opening the front door and coming in. And the building was structurally sound, but it was a mess inside. So it took us quite a while to get it up to spec. We had to build a community and redo the ground floors, which have since been changed a bit to make a shrine room and a reception room and so on. So you know what it looks like. So that's how it started. So we had a lovely evening one evening. I think, where were we, Kurunavacha? Was it at the YMCA where we walked over in the snow? Do you remember? We walked over in the snow one evening chanting a mantra through the middle of Nottingham.
Yeah, we went all through
these days, but the whole group, there's about 15 of us, walked over through the snow from the YMCA down to the Nottingham Buddhist Centre chanting a mantra. I can't remember what the mantra was, to have a look. And we did a puja on it in the middle of what was then a building site because the builders were in. And that was my first memory of doing anything there. Anyway, we had the opening ceremony on, as you say, May. I'd forgotten. I knew it was in May. I couldn't remember the date. May the 14th. And we had a coup, really. The entire Preceptors College, who were all then living at Margin Maloka in Birmingham, came over for the opening ceremony. So we had a huge opening ceremony. We let lots of balloons go, which wasn't very eco, even though people told us it wasn't very eco, but we did. And yeah, that was it. So that was the centre. So I just really want to sing, the people I want to really rejoice in are the team that came with me. So Mogasho has gone, alas, I don't know where he is. Sangha Ketu came up with us and worked in the shop like a Trojan. Vinaprabha came and was just a tremendous support. And he was sort of, so people said, oh, you started a centre. I didn't start a centre. We started a centre, and I'm very pleased it happened. But Vinaprabha became Mitra Convener and looked after the financial end of things and was sort of what you might call the backroom person. And I was the front end person, as it were. Yeah, I think that's a history. And then, well, the rest is history. People came to classes, people became mitras. It was difficult for the women to become mitras in the beginning, to my intense frustration. There was a system which I was not happy with about women becoming mitras. Anyway, they became mitras eventually. There's many stories to be told, but yeah, things progressed. And then I think I was chairman until 99 or 2000, I can't remember. And then I went back down to Cambridge, that's when I left. That's kind of a potted history. There's a lot more to tell, but that's in the time I've got. I don't know how long I've been talking, that's probably about 10 minutes. That's a potted history, yeah. When did you go back down Sangha Ketu? I can't remember the date. You're on mute, I think.
I didn't last all that long. My head wasn't in the right place.
Yeah.
I fell in love and that went haywire.
Yes.
So I was a bit of a mess. And I got up one morning and I thought, I'm going back to Cambridge. So I phoned up, arranged it, and I was gone within an hour or something. So yeah.
But you were there at the beginning. You came up.
I was there for the best bits.
Don't forget that.
And then when you started all the building work, I'd gone then. So
yes, you'd left by then.
I missed that.
Yeah.
But you did come back, Sangha Ketu.
Oh,
Billy.
The universe is a very strange manager, isn't it? Yeah, because I'd obviously not finished off what I had to do, so I ended up coming back for another, 5 years?
Yeah.
I think I've probably known, apart from one or two order members who were running the Manchester Buddhist Centre when I started going, I've probably known, in terms of people in the movement, I've known Sangha Ketu the longest.
Yeah.
I can't remember when we met, but it was very early on when I started going to the Manchester Buddhist Centre, which was
you told me I could start going to the regulars class, and then you got in trouble because you didn't have the authority to do it.
No, I'd only just started. I didn't understand how it worked.
Yeah. Well,
83, yeah. Anyway, I'll stop there. I hope that's what you kind of wanted, was a potted history of how the whole thing got going.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Baikoti. Yeah, as you say, I'm sure there's so many stories that you could share about that time, but it's just really great to hear. Yeah, just to hear how it was, and as you say, that team that were around you at the time. So, yeah.
I mean, what I didn't mention actually was the part the shop played. I just want to say So one of the things I noticed when Buddhist centers started, they had terrible struggles financially, and they really struggled to get off the ground. And I've seen that even now, some centers are struggling because they haven't got a source of income. And I thought that's not the way to do it. So I thought we'd start a shop first and see if we could make some money and use that money to start the center. And we struck gold with that shop. It was, I can't say it was planned. We were just very, very lucky that we had a shop we had a great team running it, and it made lots and lots of money. And that allowed us to buy the building, pay the mortgage, start the community, rest is history. So the shop was a crucial element. And the Sangha was very involved in that shop. We used to have evenings and people would come down at Christmas and help us unpack. We'd have pizza evenings and people would come down and unpack, and lots of people came down and volunteered in the shop. It was it was part of, there was a hub there. Yeah, it was very good.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's important, I think, to mention the shop.
Yeah, great. Lovely. Thank you, Abaya Kirti. And we will have some photos later. So we'll have a little mini slideshow which will show some of those sort of key moments that you've mentioned. Great. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, there's just such a lineage of people that have been involved in the centre, and in a way we could have invited so many different people to speak, but we've just invited a few people this evening just to say a little bit about their time at the centre. So we're going to hear a bit from Arta Bandu, Karanavacha and Paraga. So all three of these have actually been, all these people have been involved for quite a lot of the last 25 years, and particularly, as Abaya Kirti mentioned, Karanavacha was here in the very, very early days. But also they are part of our Sangha now. So some of those people, I'm sure they'll say about it when they speak a bit more, but some of them have come and gone from Nottingham. But we wanted to invite three people who are part of our Sangha now and have been involved in our Sangha over the years. So firstly, I'll just briefly mention and introduce Arta Bandu. I'm going to just be very brief in my introduction so that you can have some time to speak. But many of you will know that Arta Bandu was actually our last chair in Nottingham. So he was the chair here until a few years ago. And Arta Bandu is a very creative man, a very kind man, and a very committed man. And as his name suggests, he's a very good friend as well. So I'll hand over to you, Arta Bandu. And yes, just reflecting on that, I just also feel a lot of gratitude to you. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kusala Devi. Yeah, I'm really pleased that you're with us tonight, Abaya Kirti, because you were sort of a crucial element of me finding a Sangha and getting involved. Yeah, so when I'll sort of just give you a very sort of brief story of how I came across Nottingham Buddhist Centre and sort of what it means to me to that making that connection has sort of meant for my life, really. So it's been very important. So this is sort of not long after the centre opened. I was a student in Wolverhampton, and I was looking for something to do with my summer holiday, and I'd sort of developed an interest in Buddhism, and was already sort of thinking that this was going to be what I'd do with my life, like that I'd become a monk was how I sort of imagined it. I remember declaring that I was going to be a Buddhist monk to somebody as we travelled to Tesco's to get our student shopping. She was a bit shocked, but that wasn't quite what happened. But I wasn't a million miles off. But so far, I'd only been reading books and just sort of not encountered any living Buddhists that I could kind of relate to. And then I went to Glastonbury Festival and thought, oh, I'll find some Buddhists somewhere at Glastonbury Festival. I'll go for a wander and look for them. And I came across the Buddhafield meditation tent, and they had 2 leaflets left, and one was for the Edinburgh Centre, and one was for the Nottingham Centre. And so that was the roll of the dice that I took, really, and I wrote to the address in the leaflet of both of them, I think, but I wrote saying, I'm very interested in Buddhism. Can I come and stay at your temple? I'll sleep on the floor if necessary. I had a very sort of romantic image of what this place was, the Nottingham Buddhist Centre. And the reply I got was written by Abaya Kirti. And it was saying, well, we've got a spare bed in the community and you can work in our gift shop. And I sort of, well, thought not quite what I was expecting, but I took him up on the offer. And I'm very glad I did. It sort of opened up so many things for me. So I sort of had a crash course in Buddhist community life and meditation. It was all quite new to me, but I just sort of dived in and lived in the community for 6 weeks. And at the time, it was sort of, I'm not sure whether it was a sort of peak for the shop, but the community was full of people. I think it was the most people we've ever had there, possibly sort of a dozen people living there, and they were nearly all of them working in this shop, and quite a few of them are similar age to me. Paraga was there at the time as well, and yeah, it was just a very good place for me to be at that time. And I didn't realize it at the time, but working in a gift shop was probably the best thing for me to do at the time as well, working in a Buddhist gift shop, and sort of doing that kind of work, and in that context, and learning from others how to sort of live well together, and do something for the centre and the Sangha. It was all very good for me. And I suppose what I sort of find myself thinking about that from this end of the experience, so that it all led to me gradually sort of getting more involved at the centre and being entrusted with more responsibility. And it meant that I was learning a lot and growing a lot, and that was all thanks to people like Abaya Kirti and other order members and friends who were around me. Yeah, having trust and confidence in me, and encouraging me and supporting me to grow and develop. And yeah, so I feel really lucky that there was this context where this sort of very idealistic young student who might have seemed like a bit of a dreamer in having this fantasy of becoming a Buddhist monk, could kind of make it a practical reality in Nottingham. And I sort of think that's wonderful, and I'm very pleased that I've managed to sort of find my way into these conditions, which have been really good for me, and all the friends I've kind of made, and the ways I feel I've grown from that. Yeah, I just feel like it's sort of meant I could live a real sort of life that's got this kind of mythic adventure element to it. It all feels very meaningful, what I've been able to engage with over the last 20 odd years, and all of that sort of starting from what the Buddhist Centre and what the Sangha in Nottingham has made possible for me. So Abaya Kirti is definitely in there as a key sort of moment that he responded to my inspiration and helped me make it something quite real, and yeah, live that out. And one thing I often end up mentioning when I speak about the centre in this kind of way is how much it's been part of my inner world. I was just telling Paraga the other night how I had last week a dream of finding secret rooms in the Buddhist Centre. And this has been something, I'm not sure how many I've found now, but it's been going on for 20 years, these dreams of discovering more and more. And in last week's dream, I found this giant door in the basement that opened up to this huge field with a great oak tree. And I just sort of flew across through the sky. But I kind of think it's because of the Buddhist Centre that the Buddhist Centre has been a kind of magical portal for me. Yeah, so that's sort of what it's meant for me. It's kind of given me a life, a very satisfying and meaningful life. So yeah, very grateful for Abaya Kirti and his team, and also everyone who's contributed to that over the years through their generosity and hard work. So that's I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Bandu. Yeah, I've heard a number of times you speak about that image, you know, the dreams that you have about those different floors in the Buddhist Centre and finding new rooms and new spaces. It's just really wonderful that it's entered your dream life in that way, your mythic life. Yeah, great. Good. Okay, so next we're going to hear from Karanavacha. So yeah, I was reflecting on my friendship with Karanavacha and just feeling again very grateful. So Karanavacha led Mitra study for me alongside Shantika. And yeah, I'm very grateful to Karanavacha for her friendship, for her commitment to the centre through some difficult times, for her authenticity. She's very much herself, for her energy and her passion and her very big heart. She's very generous. So I'm sure many of you will know as well that Karanavacha is now on the council at the Buddhist Centre and also leading courses. So yeah, she's very actively involved in supporting the life of the centre. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I really love the image of the idea of the Buddhist Centre as a magic portal. It is. It's like, there's the streets of Nottingham, and then people come through the door and immediately they know they've gone through some kind of transitionary space or something into something different, and you can see how people feel it. Anyway, it's really lovely to have this opportunity to be celebrating. Yeah, wow, 25 years. This is a little bit of a shock. So last week I was in town doing humdrummy sort of bits of shopping and things like that. And I remembered I needed a book, wanted to get a book. So I had my key with me to the Buddhist Centre. And I thought, oh, I'll go and get this book from the Buddhist Centre. And I wasn't really thinking. So I opened the door and I went in, and just to the downstairs. And actually I hadn't been in for months and months and months. And it was just really wonderful. It was my magic portal for sure. And I just, there's just a very, very familiar smell to the building. And it's so known to me. And I kind of hadn't realized how much I was missing the actual building, the place where I've spent so much time. And yeah, I was a bit blown away actually. And it looked amazing, by the way. The new kitchen's looking fantastic. There's a great heap of stuff in the middle of the floor, but yeah. So yeah, it was actually quite a strong experience, and it sort of made me reflect a bit just how important it's been to me, and that feeling of incredible familiarity, and just how many people I've known over all these years who've come through centre. Some have stayed, some have got ordained, some have gone to different, maybe gone to live at retreat centres or moved, some people who've left, some people who you don't see for years and then they suddenly show up again and you discover they've been meditating all this time and you didn't know it, and all sorts of things. And some people who decide it's not for them or life does something different. But it just made me sort of reflect on, that it must be thousands of people who've been impacted, whether it's just somebody coming for a drop-in sometimes. So I just think that's pretty wonderful. So my sort of contact with Nottingham Buddhist Centre kind of goes back to about 2 years before it happened. So I was yeah, I was pretty much wanting to discover more about Buddhism. I was definitely seeking. And I had just come off a 10-day Vipassana retreat, a silent retreat, which was fairly heavy duty, but also very powerful. And I was kind of trying to keep a meditation practice going and various things, and finding it really hard on my own. I'd had this big experience and then I was kind of back in Nottingham on my own, really struggling with it all. And a friend of mine in Wales had got involved with what was then the Friends of the Western Buddhist Order, now Triratna, and was telling me about the classes and this and that. And I was like, oh, I really wish there was something like that I could really do with that, And extraordinarily, about a week after that, I saw this little notice in the window of the post office on Mansfield Road. This is how, in the old days, this is how people used to communicate. They put little notices in the post office, you see. And lo and behold, it was a Bhayakoti who had put this notice in the post office window. Because before the team moved and all of that, we were a little satellite from Birmingham, really, and the Bhayakoti would come over from Birmingham once a week to lead a class. it was, I think the first one was in the YMCA, and sometimes we went to the International Community Centre. And, it's a whole business where they have to bring cushions and mats, and, there's a little sort of kit that comes with it, Anyway, so I was involved, as was Punyaruchi, who is also here. Yeah, give him away, Punyaruchi. Hi. And yeah, so we started going to those first classes, which was great. So being involved, and it just highlighted for me, and I want to highlight the absolute importance of Sangha, because I don't think I'd have kept practicing for very long if we hadn't started classes, and then as Abhayakoti explained, and then gradually the shop, the community, and the centre. And honestly, we can be very grateful to Abhayakoti's business acumen, which this was, because otherwise we'd still be paying a mortgage, which we would be struggling to do. So it's fantastic. We have not been saddled with a mortgage because the shop did so well. So, I don't quite know how we'd be managing quite now if it hadn't been for that. So one of the many things I'm grateful to you for, Abhayakoti. Anyway, so I remember the opening of the centre. We had a women's choir, and for some reason I decided to set the dedication ceremony, which was a bit of an epic task, but we did perform it. All these people, it was like a wedding, actually, all that kind of anticipation. It was a bit like that. It was a bit like a wedding. And suddenly all these order members, as Abhayakoti said, the whole College of Preceptors showed up, and of course Sangharakshita. And I remember him cutting the tape and the balloons going up, and yeah, remembering just the excitement really leading up to that, and getting the decorating finished and all of those things. So it was pretty good. It was very exciting, and it was a very exciting time. For me, it was very exciting because I was just discovering the Dharma. And as Abhayakoti said, it was a little bit tricky for women. This was the 90s, and in the 90s, the single sex principle was still incredibly strong, quite rigid, really, to be honest, and a bit bonkers, really. But there you are. So it was quite difficult. Everything was getting set up for men, and there was this kind of group of women who were feeling quite left behind, really, because as it was at the time, you couldn't become a mitra unless there was a female order member, a dharmacharini, to lead mitra study. We didn't have one. I remember Abhayakoti running some classes for the women, actually. You did do that, didn't you? I remember that. So it was quite difficult, and we went, but in a way it enabled this, this very strong group of women formed, really, because we had to kind of do it for ourselves to quite a large degree. So there was a very dynamic group of women getting to know each other and kind of being incredibly excited, actually. That's my memory of beginning to discover and explore the Dharma. So, I'm probably nearly out of time. Yeah, so as for many other people, eventually my involvement led me to get ordained in 2006, something I had never anticipated for myself in my life, but like, oh, okay. So this is what's happening. Yeah, and we had some very difficult times, as some people know. There were some very difficult years, but we got through, and it's amazing. I think, I really want to rejoice in how well the centre is doing, and how wonderful it is having Kusala Devi as chair, and just what good health the centre is in. It's fantastic. Yeah, so all sorts of things have happened, all sorts of controversies in Triratna. There's always controversies, all sorts of things, and so, as I said, so many people coming through the doors, and in some way or other being impacted by the Dharma and by the people who have worked here. So when I came in last week, I didn't go up to the shrine room. I was kind of hurried, didn't have a load of time, and but I kind of didn't need to, because I'm aware how much the shrine room kind of lives in me. And I found myself on the last intro course as I was introducing the meditation, I found myself describing the shrine room because, of course, it was on Zoom. So none of the people had been in the shrine room. And it was just really lovely, actually, just to try and imaginatively create the shrine room and the atmosphere of the shrine room, which is wonderful. And I just think how many human hours, you know, in these 25 years, how many human hours have been spent there in practice, in meditation, in talks and study and discussion, and just that fantastic atmosphere that there is when you walk into the shrine room. I really don't need to do it. I can feel it as I'm saying it. So I'm sitting at home, but I'm kind of breathing in the shrine room atmosphere. So yeah, I want to express my gratitude to everyone who's taught here, who's led meditation, or, you know, just brought themselves to the center with an open, seeking heart in all our kind of human confusion. You know, just this repeated act of coming together to practice, to learn, to grow. So yeah, much gratitude, and I'm so glad the center is here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Karanavacha. Yeah, really lovely again to just hear more stories, more reflections. Yeah, very, very rich, and that very evocative of all those people just coming through the doors and how many people have been touched by the centre. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'll introduce our third speaker this evening, which is Paraga. So yeah, again, just reflecting personally. So I actually met the Dharma through Paraga and was introduced to the Buddhist Centre through Paraga. So some of you will know that Paraga and I are in a relationship, and it was through that relationship that I met the centre. So I definitely feel a lot of gratitude for that. Paraga and Jinnaraja led my introductory course. And then Paraga has been the men's mitra convener at the centre for a number of years until quite recently. So those of you who know Paraga will know he's got a lot of energy. He's wholehearted with a very big heart, and he's very playful, and he really brings all of himself as well. So yeah, I'll hand over to you, Paraga.
Great, thanks, Kusala Devi. Yeah, I don't know what to say. 10 minutes. My history of Nottingham. Well, I can sort of pick up what time is it? 8 minutes actually. I've got. I mean, I can sort of pick up where Abhaya Kirti left off in terms of, you know, Abhaya Kirti and others had come and set the shop up, set the community up, and you know, similar to, well, Art of Bandu kind of actually, and pretty much probably all of you here, you know, I was sort of seeking something. I'd actually been meditating with another group for about 2 years, and I thought they were a bit mad, so I left them, and I thought I'll go and try the Buddhist Centre, and I felt these words came to me. I don't know why, but I knew that if the Buddhist Centre didn't work, I was going to end up having a life of alcohol and crime, as it appeared in my head. I've never been that involved with alcohol or crime, but it was just like, for me, it was just like a life that doesn't work, you know. So that was where I sort of felt my life was heading if it wasn't going to work at this place. Thankfully, I met Abhaya Kirti in the Nottingham Buddhist Centre, and here I am still. So, but I mean, I'm grateful to Abhaya Kirti for him spearheading and leading Nottingham, but you know, just he's been such a good friend, particularly in the early years. Him and Vimalaprabha in particular, they're my KMs. They've been KMs to me, like very close friends, and you know, I always feel, particularly to you, Abhaya Kirti, just sort of eternally grateful that I'm always excited I'm around you in a space, because just for so many reasons, but you know, you're just such an important person to me. Yeah, very fortunate that I met Abhaya Kirti and lots of other people. And for me, I was just very lucky. Everything had been set up. These guys had done all the hard work. I just sort of turned up and participated, and I participated quite sort of fully. And it just felt like, so quite quickly I joined it. And you know, just to say, I suppose it was fortunate that I turned up as a man, because, as kind of actually said, you know, had I turned up as a woman, so to speak, then I wouldn't have, you know, I couldn't have joined the shop or the men's community. So I was very lucky and very fortunate that there was that context to me, which there wasn't for the women. So I was very fortunate, and it just felt that I'd met an oasis of individuals. I've got this image in my head of Abhaya Kirti and Vimala Prabha. I don't know if the image is quite in the, it's partly in the shop, it's partly in the Buddhist Centre, and just looking at these two guys and just thinking, I've never met people like this before. And they just stood for something that I'd never experienced before. And I just felt that, they were like an oasis in a sort of world of chaos and madness and turmoil. It was like there was these people sort of had created this oasis, and I just was able to sort of throw myself in, and it was just just people that were taking life seriously and took themselves seriously and took me seriously, and that's why I'm eternally grateful, because it's just sort of it was just very important. What else? I quite actively, like I said, sort of participated, more so sort of with Bandu and Jinaraja, and then Jinaraja left, and me and Bandu. Well, I was ordained in 2008, and me and Bandu, and we had a very good friendship that we sort of still have, and we and others were sort of running things quite a lot. Shanka Kemisiri kind of Bachelor as well. What else? What was I going to say? Scraps of paper. I suppose just the only thing I'd really want to say is I just find the Buddhist Centre a bit of a mystery in a way. It's I sort of turned up to this place. It seemed to have been there. It seemed as if it had always been there. I threw myself into it. I sort of, for quite a number of years, I sort of then left to meet Padmaloka in 2015 and came back, and I'm not that involved directly now, but it's here tonight. It's still rolling on, seemingly eternally. It's still just sort of, doing its thing. I just sort of find it very, very sort of mysterious in a way. Just the existence of the Buddhist Centre, and I'm just also just very grateful to. I think what makes the Buddhist Centre just keep running, and what makes the Three Jewels sort of come alive is us just like all being here tonight, basically, just coming along, sort of attending, engaging. So I just want to sort of rejoice in everyone that in everyone here tonight, and also in the team at the moment. There's under Kusa Davies' fine leadership, it's just lovely to come back to Nottingham and just sort of observe what's happening in the Buddhist Centre now. It's just it just seems to be, as Karen actually mentioned, I think the Buddhist Centre is in I've said this before, in the sort of most healthy period of its history, really. I think it's just incredibly healthy, and there's such a sort of wonderful team and wonderful Sangha, and it's really nice to sort of reflect on the history and where everything is now. So there you go, brief, but I'll finish there. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Pariga. Big thank you to all of you. I could just hear stories about it all night. It's just great hearing these different sort of reflections, people's different reflections of the space, of the Sangha, of that particular building, the Buddhist Centre. Yes, thank you. Okay, so now we're going to have a bit of a treat, which is some photos. So Zach has very kindly put together a little slideshow of some of the sort of very early photos that we have of the centre opening, and then some more recent photos. So hopefully it's sort of self-explanatory, but we'll just watch that and just sort of be able to see, be on the lookout for who you recognize along the way. Thanks, Zach.
Can Abhayakirti give us some commentary while we watch this?
You're muted, Abhayakirti.
Okay. So top left is us doing something building work. Yeah, top left is us doing something in the middle of the building work. Bottom left, I think, is what the reception room looked like when we first took it over. I don't recognize. Oh, the woman. So in the middle picture, there's Karanavacha.
Yeah.
There's somebody called Linda.
Yeah.
Yep. The photos, there's Subhuti with the balloons. People, I think, next to the blue shirts, an odd member called Vipula Kirti. There's me talking at the opening day. I thought something was very funny. I don't know what it was. Okay. There's Sangharachita cutting the ribbon. And then right hand is Subhuti. Don't know what was going on there. And I can't remember the order member you can see who's got blue jeans on at the very left. You can see how many people were there. There was a lot of people that day. And we put food on for everybody. And it was a great day, actually. Really good.
It was.
And this is the day. There's Suvajra, with the yellow orange caser on. There's Sangharachita with his back to us. I was saying something. Yeah, so that's all that's in the shrine room. That must be sometime during the day. Oh, there we are. Yes, I think that's getting us excited, Vinaprabha and myself. And then on the right is the Rupa, and it's Rupa Darshan, who wasn't Rupa Darshan at the time, but he carved that Rupa. He stayed with us for a few months and made the Rupa. Yeah. It was a very complex process. I can't remember all the details, I'm afraid.
It was down in the cellar, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very active with Buddha Field these days, Rupa Darshan.
Oh.
We recognize him, don't we? That's Sangha K2.
Hey.
Very happy.
And Karanavacha.
Right, yes,
black hair, eh?
Yeah. Stana Shraddha on the right, Jnana Shalin on the left, and what's his name now?
Kamajala.
Kamajala, thank you very much. And then I don't recognize the woman on the right hand side. I don't recognize.
Rob, young guy, Rob, lived in Cambridge.
He's ordained now. Yeah, I can't remember his name, and I can't remember where he lives, but a friend of mine still in contact with him. Yeah. Alokadar, Lynn, Marion, who else?
Sobana, Punyaruchi,
Chris, Sobana, I can see Sobana. Yes.
Joe, okay.
Amrit,
Joe James.
Yes.
Joe, yeah.
That's my mitra ceremony. I've got hair.
Oh, right.
In the black shirt.
Oh, yeah. And the beige carpet.
Yes. which Joe paid for. I was sworn to secrecy, but now she's dead. I can tell you she paid for it.
Oh.
Who, Joe?
Yeah.
Mm.
Here we go.
Mhm.
Is that Chittapala?
He was temporary president for a while, yes.
With the puja book in the bowl, yeah, at the front.
I think so, yeah. He was acting president for quite a few years.
I see him at XR meetings now sometimes.
Paraga's wearing a purple shirt, I think, in the right at the front.
Oh, yes.
Uniform.
Looking a bit bored.
Think about crime.
Bandu.
Holly.
There's Holly. Mhm.
I think we all know who these people are.
Yes.
Bodhi Naya looking shifty.
Well practiced look.
Is that Pippa?
Yeah.
Is that Vajranatha in the front here?
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's our Sangha retreat at Adhisthana.
Just before lockdown.
Wow.
Yeah, literally the week before.
Wow.
Week before the country locked down.
Wow.
Thank you.
Great. So there you go. Just some little glimpses there. And I think there's more photos where they came from. So yeah, once we're back in the centre, perhaps we could sort of have some on display, or you could always ask if you want to see some of those photos of what it was like back in the day. But yeah, really lovely to have a glimpse of that. So thank you very much, Zach, for putting that together. Okay, good. So yeah, there's just so many people who I could acknowledge. I'm just aware, Kay Masiri and Aryabharchan and Gareth, who are the other three and Padmasaki, who's here as well, who are those of us sort of supported by the centre at the moment, who have given so much, but so many other people. Jill's here as well, who's worked at the centre over the years. As we said, Sangha Ketu, everyone who gives time, which is all of you actually, time, energy, love and support to the centre. So yeah, as Paraga was saying, like the centre and the Sangha wouldn't be what it is without just everyone being here. So what I'm going to do now is just sort of open up the floor, as it were, for any questions, responses or rejoicings. So yeah, Abhaya Kirti.
So I've really enjoyed this. It's lovely to hear everybody speaking, but there's one thing I didn't mention really. So we were, Karen of Archer was talking a little bit about the women's group, and it was the frustration they couldn't become mitras. That's all history now. But the guys are really taken up with running the shop. And actually, the women's group, what I do want to say, and they did a tremendous amount around the centre in the early days. I mean, a tremendous amount. Karen of Archer, Aloka Dar, Marion, Joe James. So two people. So Karen of Archer, we know about, and she's still here, and she's done a lot over the years. But you know, the very early days, Punyaruchi used to do all our shrines, and she put a tremendous amount in the early days. And I've never really had a chance to thank her properly for all her hard work that she did. And similarly, Aloka Dar, she did a tremendous, all sorts of odd jobs for us. You just say, Aloka Dar, could you do that? Done, you know. So it's just me, just really reinforcing the point that, which has been quite eloquently put already, both implicitly and explicitly, a Buddhist Centre is a team effort. And I'm so happy to see and hear that the Centre's doing so well at the moment. So also, I just want to rejoice in your merits, because the chairperson makes a huge difference. And I'm very, very happy to see the Buddhist Centre rolling on so well at the moment. So thank you very much.
Thank you, bye, Kirti. Yeah.
Can I just say something?
Of course.
I learnt to meditate in Nottingham when Guhya Ratna used to come across and do classes at the Meadows Community Centre. And I was one of those women that actually, when an opportunity came up, I left to go to London because I couldn't become a mitra up here. I had to leave and didn't come back for a number of years. But there was a really lovely Sangha feel, and I did miss out on all the really exciting stuff. But, you know, it seems so lovely to be here at this end where it's all been established and it's growing and it's thriving. So I just wanted to say I'm really grateful to Birmingham Buddhist Centre for letting us be their outreach. You know, Vajramala used to come up for festivals and we'd all trek off to Birmingham to go to a festival because we had no centre of our own. And it's just such a different experience, you know, and when we get back in there again, I think those people who are here probably tonight who haven't been in, because we've got some new people coming through, you'll really see what it feels like just to have a space that you can go into that's set aside and that where practice has been going on for all these years. So I just wanted to say sadhu.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Padmasaki. So Satyamega, you put your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to rejoice in Sobana, who, because I know that she sort of responded to that call for a Dharmacharini to come to Nottingham, so that people like Karanavacha and Punyaruchi, well, Padmasaki you would have been if you'd stayed, could become mitras and could study, and I know then went on to ordain you, Karanavacha. So yeah, just really rejoice in Sobana, and then Shrivadri, who came along too, and all that she gave and that they gave to the centre. So I just wanted to mention her.
Great. So do feel free to either just unmute yourself and start speaking, or there's you could use the little reactions button at the bottom to raise your hand. And yeah, it doesn't have to be about the historic sense of the centre. If there's just anything you want to say about your experience of coming along, or particular people, or any sort of rejoicings, memories, thoughts, or any questions for those people that are here and have been here.
Yeah, I feel a bit overwhelmed tonight, actually. It's just it's been such a joyous night. And yeah, there's this lineage, you know, we just started right at the start with you know, our advice is right through to the Buddha, you know, talking about that lineage. And I just feel that stream of connection. You know, Abhaya Kirti, you started the centre, and Paraga was the first person I saw when I opened the door. Arta Bandu, you know, these great friendships that have formed, and I just feel so much gratitude. And seriously, I'm reading a book at the moment called Midnight Garden. It's talking about a certain period in time. You can go back and try and change your life, and you'd see how that would be. And in some ways, I think if I went back and changed anything, I couldn't, because I've got like the best, most fortuitous thing that's happened in my life is just opening that door. And I just feel really blessed about it. And it's just, yeah, so there's so much gratitude, and thank you very much for putting this on tonight, everybody. And yeah, it's great to be a part of Nottingham.
Yeah, Keith.
Oh, well, I'd like to talk a little bit about Sangha Ketu. I know he's trying to hide away there, but he was one of the. He used to come down to Leicester when I first started. I was involved with Leicester, and he used to come down with Lynn, who was sort of the main mover behind Leicester, and he would come down, and he was one of the only Buddhists I met. Him and Alobin, who actually knew anything about football. And I think that was that was one of the things that kept, when he was a Man United supporter, and he actually came from Manchester, which is quite unusual. So that was something. And Sangha Ketu keeps going away, and then he keeps coming back. And I think the friendships that you develop over the years, you bump into people, and then you know people, you meet people that know people that you know, and it's such a wonderful network of friendship, of spiritual friendship, and that's developed over the years. And sadly, I was supposed to be visiting Sangha Ketu this week and couldn't go, but you know, he's coming back, I think, in a couple of weeks. We're going out for a meal, and then Alobin, I went away camping with Alobin. So all I would say to people that are not as involved, or not been as involved for as long as some of us have, build these friendships, and these friendships will they'll keep running. If you put the effort in, they'll keep running now for I don't know how many more years. I hope I've got another few more years, but certainly I'd like to rejoice in Sangha Ketu, because he's always there. He does all the outreach. When he was when he was at Cambridge, he was doing loads of outreach. When he was in Bristol, it's difficult to keep tabs of where he gets to, actually, particularly at being such a senior gentleman as well. So it's it's just lovely to see him and to see Arta Bandu again. He keeps coming back. They can't keep away from Nottingham once they've gone. Paraga's come back, and it's brilliant. And I'd just like to thank all of you for making myself and Mal feeling so welcome when we came back after a not particularly joyous time when we were in Ireland. So I'd like to thank all of you, particularly the people that I've mentioned, but also, and Karen Avacha, Padmasaki, you made us feel so welcome when we've been back, and Kemasiri. I'm about to leave somebody out.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, yeah.
Oh.
Can I say something?
Well, I think Zach was just moving. I think he was getting feedback. So I think
turn one microphone on, and now I've apparently got to change the camera. Oh, I wanted it to be spontaneous. There we are. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to, something just came to mind, actually. Really wanted to rejoice in Kemasiri and Sachamega firstly. I'm not sure if they were on the intro course that I did about 2.5 years ago. I'm not sure if they were on it together, but I particularly remember Sachamega on that course. I just remember, I just felt this strong wave of gratitude, and just the sense that, like, it's just completely changed my life. Like, I sort of really mean that from the bottom of my heart. I just feel very grateful about that, basically. I was coming along to the centre quite skeptical and not in the best of places. But me and my partner Eve came along just came along, and it's completely changed my life, basically. I just feel very grateful for that. And then secondly, I'd like to rejoice in Jyotida and Aryabhachan as well. Aryabhachan's over there. Particularly because actually something that Paraga mentioned was just, it's just very wonderful to be taken seriously. As a young man that's got a lot of energy and it's got like a lot to say and stuff, so just to be taken very seriously and just to be presented with opportunities to live my life very seriously, and to apply my energies, and to serve, basically, and just to have these people around that can really look up to is really good. So yeah, that's me, and just rejoice in the centre as a whole.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Odinaya?
Yeah, hi. I was just sort of reflecting on how it's a very welcoming centre. And I remember 6-7 years ago, I was involved in Sheffield Buddhist Centre, and I'm quite local, and but it was a bit too far to go to Sheffield for Mitra studies, so I just sort of approached the Nottingham Buddhist Centre, and I was just, I was very struck by Arthur Bandu's welcome, really, inviting me to join the men's Mitra study group, because I was a Drew then, and there was some confusion around my gender, but it was just such a wonderful welcome, and it meant so much to me. And I was just very struck how there's a legacy of welcoming. I was very struck how Abhaya Kirti welcomed Arthur Bandu all those years ago, and that has kind of been passed on. And I was lucky enough to be on the receiving end of that same kind of welcome, and and my hope is that kind of legacy will continue. But it just feels like a very welcoming, open-hearted centre, and I'm just very grateful to Arthur Bandu and Abhaya Kirti for welcoming Arthur Bandu all those years ago.
Great. Thanks, Bodhinaya.
Can I say something, Kusla baby?
Of course.
I just wanted to rejoice in Kashantika in particular. She has been there since I came along. She led Mitra study for me for 8 years. She's been on the council for I don't know how long. She's been there through a difficult time, I think, for the center and for the women at the center. And she's, just been this very strong presence there throughout that time. And really rejoice particularly in her patience and her openness. One of the things I really remember from Mitra study with her is the way we could, just the way she opened up the space for each of us. And that whatever we had to say, it was just very much, it just felt very open and spacious. And one quick anecdote about her as well. In the first Sangha retreat I was on, and we had we're supposed to be silent overnight and silent in the morning. It was the first time I'd been in silence. And I remember I woke up that morning and I went into to have a shower, and Kshantika was in there and she just had a shower. And I completely forgot that it was supposed to be silent. So I was like, oh, was there hot water? And then I immediately just felt, because once I remembered, I just felt so ashamed. And Kshantika just turned to me and just like, yeah, there's hot water. It was just like this lovely, just acceptance and that space and openness. So just really appreciate everything Kshantika's given to the center all these years.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Rachel.
Hey, Kusala Devi, I'll quickly jump in if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it, Rich.
So I recognise an awful lot of people that are here tonight, which is amazing. I think I first visited the centre back in either late 2011 or early 2012, I think, and sort of quickly fell in love with the place and a lot of you guys that are still here now. And I have an awful lot of fond memories of time spent both at the centre and with a lot of you guys, particularly kind of evening meals in the community before Sangha nights, or clearing out the basement one time we did, and the horrors that were down there. And I have a fond memory, I think, of Parga's birthday. I'm pretty sure we did musical statues to Slayer or something like that. And yeah, just loads of really cool memories over the sort of 3 or 4 years that I was sort of heavily around the centre. And a lot of you know that I was sort of became really good friends with Prabhasra before he passed, and was introduced to tea, which is, you know, a big love of mine. And yeah, Mark or Jyotada, we had our first tea ceremony together there. I still have a picture of that on my phone. I think I should probably pull that out at some point. But yeah, I've been away for quite a long time now, but it's amazing to come back and just sort of, yeah, feel very at home amongst you all. And I'm very grateful that the centre exists and that you're all, you know, you're all still a big part of it. So thank you.
Thanks, Rich. Very good to have you here. So I'm just going to hop in and rejoice in Kaimasiri. So Kaimasiri has been a very important part of my life at the Buddhist Centre. Yeah, Kaimasiri gives so much, and she gives very sort of steadily and very quietly, and she just keeps giving and giving and giving. She's got a very, very big heart, and she's just a very good friend to me. Well, she still is now. She's just a very good friend to me, but you know, she supported me so much through my ordination process. Yeah, and so many people, I think, have been welcomed at the centre as well by Kaimasiri. So Bodhi and I was mentioning this element of sort of welcome, and Kaimasiri is very good at welcoming people, and she's very good at just being herself with people, and I think that really, really puts people at ease. I think that is a lovely quality that we have at the centre in Nottingham, just people being themselves. And yeah, Kaimasiri exemplifies that over and over again. So thank you, Kaimasiri.
Thank you.
Hi, okay. I put my hand up, but maybe
Yeah, sorry, Holly, you weren't on my screen. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I just want to show appreciation, really similar. I don't know what Eve's partner's called, sorry to call you Eve's partner, similar to what he said about being taken seriously. And I came with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and probably was just running around a lot, a bit wacky, but I have really amazing memories of being really welcomed in the men's community, and would have dinner there very often, and I even stayed once over Christmas. Yeah, just open arms from people, being taken seriously. Karanavacha having me live with you for 9 months, just a lot of really real care, support, encouragement, and commitment to living out ideals, and yeah, just have some very strong connections with people that I'm really grateful for. So yeah, thank you.
I'll just butt in and say something. I just wanted to mention Jill as well. He's sitting there with the headphones on. Yeah, just for years, Jill worked very closely at the centre, and I remember, having sort of team meetings with myself, Kemasiri, Artavandu, and Jill sort of every Monday. And Jill was like, in a way, the sort of slightly in the sort of, she did a lot of the sort of admin and organisational stuff, and the sort of, in a way, the kind of a lot of the almost management of the centre for quite a number of years, but a lot of sort of working. So I just wanted to mention you Jill. It was just great to. I've just got such fond memories of being on that team. Kemasiri, Artavandu, and yourself. Just I seem to remember sort of meeting up in the centre and at Waterstones, and just sort of getting on with stuff, which was just great. Yeah. And I just wanted to mention as well, it's just lovely having a bike here, as I've said, but just Kusala Devi as well, that it's just nice having the sort of present chair and the founding chair together in the same space. And I just wanted to rejoice in Kusala that you've sort of taken on the chair of the centre during lockdown, which I also sort of think is remarkable. And I don't know sort of quite how you've done it, but I think it's probably just quite a difficult time to sort of to take on being in connection in the Buddhist Centre when it's all on Zoom, and particularly I sort of think for being in this sort of context and seeing you all, but being a chair and sort of holding that. So I just want to sort of just mention that, and thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay, any last rejoicings?
I just want to quickly, I can't, wait, my brain's gone. This always happens. I just want to rejoice in everybody, like the Sangha as well, and all the other members. I remember first coming to the centre and just being like, I can't believe there's another way to be and live. Like, I thought this is it. I thought I'm this forever. And all of you harboured such amazing qualities I just never met before. And I think it was the vision of coming into the centre and seeing you all just embody these wonderful qualities. And thank you for Jyotada for being my dad and my gateway as well. I love you all. You've given me a lot of meaning to my life. So thanks.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, maybe that's that coming to an end, unless there's anyone else. Speak now.
Actually, yes, Kemasiri here. I just want to say I feel really proud of the Sangha in Nottingham. Just to say, Abaya Kirti and I, we were on the same chair. I was chair in Amsterdam, he being chair in Nottingham. I remember you starting the centre. Amsterdam started 1 year earlier. So we shared quite a history in sharing. And so very aware of how well you set it up. It's shop money first, because we really struggle. Amsterdam still hasn't got a building that it owns, and it's far too expensive now even to think of buying. So it's a great, well done. So thank you for doing that. And I just feel incredibly proud of all of us, really. That's all I want to say. Big heart for everybody.
Great. I can't see all of you on the screen, so if there is anyone that wants to speak, you just unmute and say anything. No? Okay, so I'm just going to hand over before we finish just to Ian, who's going to say a little bit about Dharma.
Thanks, Kusala Devi. What a wonderful evening it's been. So we're celebrating 25 years of the centre tonight, and I've certainly enjoyed listening to everybody's stories and seeing the pictures and sort of looking back at what's happened over the last for 25 years really, and hearing from the people who contributed to the centre and how it's touched their lives especially. Of course, this includes order members, mitras, new and older members of the Sangha, and people who've generously given their time and money to build a place where the Dharma can spread to all sorts of different people who come through the doors. And as I said, many people over the last 25 years. And we think about people who look after the centre, the shrine room, organised festivals, provide courses, and of course teach as well, to name but a few, and there are many other people. And as we say, this has led to a ever-growing and developing Sangha, and particularly we can rejoice in welcoming 9 new mitras next weekend, which is a great thing for the Sangha and shows how effectively we can be when we all work together. And I'm particularly reminded of the verses in the threefold puja about the Sangha, which say, we reverence the Sangha and aspire to follow it, the fellowship of those who tread the way, as one by one we make our own commitment, an ever widening circle the Sangha grows. Of course, none of this would be possible without the generosity of us all, and it's something we should be truly grateful for. I know that I am, as the centre has played a big part in my life over the past few years and given me a foundation in Buddhism and also friendship with many people. But as well as giving time and energy, the centre also, of course, needs financial support to keep going. So if you're considering making a donation tonight, or even setting up a standing order if you haven't done so, to help the centre better manage its finances and continue, we'd of course be very grateful. And as always, it's on the basis of give what you can. So in this way, I would hope that the centre will still be here in another 25 years, bringing the Dharma to people, and also beyond 25 years, as a place where people can come and spend time with each other, something which we've sorely missed over the last 12 months or so, and learn about the teachings of the Buddha. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Yeah, really lovely. It's a lovely idea that if we give now, then we're giving to people who might be able to keep coming in the next 25 years. Yeah, lovely. Okay, so just a lot of thank yous, really, endless thank yous. Big thank you to special guests who have come along this evening. So especially Abhayakirti, sorry, I was just trying to get rid of my face again. Yeah, especially to Abhayakirti for coming along, and also Sangha as a special guest. Paraga, Karanavacha and Arta Bandu who spoke this evening. And yeah, just everyone who's made the effort to come along. It's lovely to see Punyaruchi here, because we don't see Punyaruchi here very often. Yeah, so just a big thank you to everyone. And yeah, thank you to the Sangha Night team. Lots of people have been involved in helping this evening come together. So thank you to you all. You know who you are. I won't name everyone. But also just to all of you, because we've mentioned a few times, but the Buddhist Centre wouldn't be the Buddhist Centre, and the Sangha wouldn't be the Sangha without all of you coming along. So thank you for being here, for engaging, for committing, for practicing together. Yeah, it really is that makes the Sangha what it is, and that creates that sense of sort of something mysterious about the Buddhist Centre. So, didn't quite know how to end. I sort of want to sadhu, but it's not quite right. But yeah, just a big thank you. And it's very lovely to celebrate 25 years with you all.